Hey everybody, welcome to my first video for my new YouTube page, Balance the World with Dave Dettman. This first one is mainly for just my friends and family and is to simply introduce everyone to my next attempt at making my Balance the World ideas work out. Now, I warn you, I'm a long way from being good at this. In fact, I want to start by joking around for a moment and talk about how hard it is to make these videos because there were a ton of outtakes and bloopers, that's for sure. Because you got your left hand on the stream deck, you got your right hand on the mouse, you check your audio, you press record, you look into the camera, and I forgot what I was gonna say. It seriously took me 2 weeks to film this 30-minute video. Honestly, when I started, I thought I was gonna film this in 1 take. Nope. At the moment, I could barely memorize 2 or 3 sentences at a time, and that's it. So I had to record 1 slide at a time, and they really turned out very, very choppy. So I warn you, this first video is amateur at best and far from being professionally made. But the reason I decided to put this out there now and not practice for 6 more months is, one, I need to finally get rolling and stop procrastinating. And two, I don't mind showing an amateur video first because now I'll have a video to compare to as I get better and look back on and laugh in the future. And hopefully by this time next year, I'll be good at this. And if not next year, eventually, because I promise I will eventually get good at this. I have way too many important things to say not to get good at this. So for now, focus on my content, my ideas, and my graphics, and not my speaking skills. All right, enough joking around. Segments for this first video are Help Wanted, Designs and Logos, Segments, Political Issues, and Pages. So, Help Wanted, what do I mean by that? Well, I plan on making at least 100 videos over the next year or so, and I plan on doing them mainly by myself for a while, at least until I've made enough of them to say what I want to say and to get good at it. But in the meantime, I also want to at least start building a team of like minded people who agree with my politics, beliefs, and ideas, and to find out if I have any support moving forward. Because I am aware that most people, I would guess probably about 75% of people don't agree with what I have to say. In fact, I'm pretty sure that some people won't even like me at all after watching this video, and I have to accept that because I do understand that I think differently than most people. But that's the point of all this, to think outside the box and come up with new ideas because old ideas are not working. So it's the other 25% of people who do like what I have to say and who might want to help that I'm hoping to hear from. And please keep in mind that you don't have to like everything a person says in order to get along with them. Please don't let one thing I say, or even a couple of things I say, ruin all the good things that you agree with me about. If you're waiting for someone to match your politics and beliefs 100%, good luck. You're going to be waiting a while. So let me know if you'd like to eventually get involved and help. Now, in addition to my content, politics, and ideas, I would also like some help improving technically and professionally too. I'll even welcome some constructive criticism as long as it's from my friends and family or someone who is actually trying to help me improve. And even for the little things like your opinions on my designs and graphics. For example, my map background with my watermark logo on it. And or can you help with computer skills or video editing and audio editing, stuff like that, and especially things with copyright issues. I want to make sure that everything is, fair use and from royalty-free websites. Or can you even help with business and legal advice for my future ideas? Because I'm still learning on these important things and don't want to do anything wrong. And finally, if you would simply like to donate your time and energy and help out in any way possible, because I will take all the help I can get and in many different forms. Now, when it comes to helping, please remember one thing: you don't need to be an expert to help. And this brings up an issue that is really important to me, and that's the issue of credibility. Whenever people or critics say to me, who do you think you are, Dave? Or you really think that you can make a difference? I look them right in the eye and I say to them, no, not really. I am smart enough to know I can't save the world by myself. So when these credibility Nazis say things like this to me, all they do is piss me off. I am well aware that I'm just a Joe Schmo nobody, but hopefully I can at least make a living trying to help and doing something of importance that actually matters with my life. Anything else is just a paycheck to me. It's like, whatever, just give me a paycheck so I can put gas in my car and food in my stomach. But doing this, yeah, this is special. This is motivating. And yes, this can make a difference if enough people help. So, at the very least, what I really want is to say what I have to say before I die. I really don't want to die with all these ideas and good points to make in my head. And if nothing else, to plant the seeds of good ideas for the future. And what's that old cliche? Society grows great when an old men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit in, or simply to be a spark or a match that ignites the movement for the future. So, with that being said, my job is not to be an expert. My job is one, to inspire and motivate people to care. Because the hardest part of all this is getting people to care about the future after their lifetimes, which is why I believe selfishness to be the number one problem in the world. And this is probably the number one example of selfishness, not caring about the world after you die. Next, to teach basic concepts and good ideas, and simply to leave the details to the experts. Also, to host and ask tough questions. I'm certainly not afraid to do that. To teach people to think for themselves. And finally, to help control our leaders. Because there's one thing that I want you to remember about experts and smart people is just because someone is smart does not mean they're telling the truth. If our leaders were doing their jobs, I wouldn't need to be here. All right. I'll be talking more about why in my next video. For now, let's move along to designs and logos. I use PowerPoint to create the presentations and videos. I use OBS Studio to record them, and I use Adobe Premiere Elements to edit them. I plan on keeping most of the videos around 5 minutes. Some will be 1 minute, little quick shorts. Some will be 20 minutes. So it just depends. But 5 minute videos are going to be my goal. This is my first logo. Anybody who knows me knows I love the concept of balance and the yin yang. So this is my new logo. I'm calling it Balance the World with Dave Dettman. And the thing about this is that the idea is to find a balance between human beings and our planet. So that's why I use this logo. You can also use it in many different colors, which you'll see that I do. But you'll see this logo a lot, and you'll also see it with our politics. So I talk about balance in our politics, especially between the Democratic Party and Republican Party. So you'll see these logos get used a lot. Now, this next slide is my first attempt at a logo sting. All right. A little embarrassing, but it's got all the aspects that I wanted. Let me get myself out of the way here for you. Um, it's got the scales of justice along with my yin yang up in the corner, and also my main slogan for my Balanced World stuff, which is helping humans establish a balance with our planet, the world's ultimate goal. All right, so the idea was to have a shot of the planet from outer space, from the universe, which I really like. So this is my first idea for it. If you got any other better suggestions, let me know. I'll probably be changing it, 10 times before I'm done. But this is my first crack at it, so laugh away. But I will be improving it as I go. This is also a good time to show you my Stream Deck capabilities and how I can manipulate my own image on the screen. Right now, I'm down in the bottom left covering up my cheesy picture, but I can also just get rid of myself altogether and the cartoon that I had done a couple years ago. But this is the one I'll probably be using a lot too, where I'm not even on the screen, just narrating. But I can also use this one from when I'm arguing from the left. I can use this one from art when I'm arguing from the right. I can welcome right from the center. You've already seen this one, but I'll also be using my scales of justice in the background when I'm interviewing people, and I can use that one and the full size one for when I'm going one on one with somebody during a podcast interview. Next, I want to show you why I insist on using PowerPoints because I want my videos to be as educational as possible. I want a lot of definitions, slogans, and quotes in my videos and on my slides. And I also want a lot of statistics and percentages, a lot of graphs and pie charts you're going to see, a lot of top 10 and top 5 lists, along with some video clips, some social media memes I still like to use, movie quotes, and comedy. I want to try to make people laugh as much as possible. A lot of politics and saving the world stuff is pretty serious, but I want to smile and laugh as I'm doing this too. So you're going to see a lot of that. History and timelines. You got to understand the human race and history. Geography and maps is, as much as this is about our planet, you got to understand that I like to use geography and maps as much as possible. And then finally, I'm going to start transitioning into news, politics, and world affairs. Now, getting good with PowerPoint is how I'm going to get started. It's going to, obviously, like I said, I would need a lot of practice at this. So I want to practice with PowerPoint and have the crutch. And a lot of people don't like bullet points, but I need them for a while until I get good at this. I need them. So you will see a lot of these things, at least in my early videos. And then I'll be transitioning more into podcasting and news reporting. Like this slide you see here, I'll be putting the title bar and my logo at the bottom, like a normal newscast would be. And of course, I put John Stewart up here on my first one, this first slide, just because he's my favorite. And I can interview people right here from this format. And then I can also interview people from this format, um, which I will be doing often. And so, if anybody out there wants to help me practice my interview skills and have some fun talking about politics, let me know, because this is how I want to gradually transition into. Now, with that being said, I want to show you some of the people that I like and that I watch myself. So I also watch Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs, who's done an extremely good job of fighting for the American working class and worker. And then, of course, the best podcaster out there is Joe Rogan. He's one of my favorites too. You can't even watch the internet without seeing one of his clips these days. I really like Dr. Drew. I've liked that guy for 20 years now. The guy's extremely smart, and I like listening to him. And then my favorite comedian of all time is George Carlin. Of course, I was going to say, of course, but I think most people like him, not everybody. But I think I agree with probably 95% of everything that he's ever said. So I definitely think a lot like this guy does. But the last one I want to show you is a little bit more important. It is about internet news companies out there, and that is this girl here, Crystal Ball. She is my favorite from Breaking Points. She does a show with a guy named Sagar and Ryan and Emily now. And the reason why I bring her up is because she is extremely good at what she does, and more importantly, it's about breaking away from cable news, who does nothing but brainwash people. And they have a program to follow, and propaganda to follow, and bosses to obey, and scripts to read. Where when you start getting into internet news, you start realizing that these people are subscriber funded and can do it by themselves and don't have anybody to answer to. And that way they can give you truthful news reporting. And so it's really important not only for everybody to switch towards internet news, like this show, which is my favorite, but also to get your parents and grandparents hooked off of cable news also, because they're the ones who are voting the most. So we really need to make sure people know that there's another option out there and show them how to do it. However, it is important to point out that you do have to be smart enough to know the difference between good internet news and the vast amounts of garbage out there, because there's a lot of that on the internet too. So, the best thing to do is to have a couple of shows on the internet that you like in order to compare and contrast different points of view from. All right, enough about the people that I watch and who influence me, and it's time to start talking about politics. Now, this slide is one of my absolute favorites because it is about comparing and contrasting two different points of view, which you're going to be seeing me do a lot, which I think our news needs to do much more of, and actually, go tackle an issue from both points of view. So you'll be seeing me here on the left with the Democrat side, and you'll be seeing me over here arguing for the Republican side sometimes too. And so, what I want to do is just give you guys an idea of where I am at politically, and for me, I am probably 65% Democrat, 35% Republican when it comes to the issues out there. And we're going to go over a couple of them here in a minute. But you'll be seeing me use this graph a lot because I like it. And then obviously the balance scale down at the bottom being 65, 35. I use that a lot when you're talking about an issue. It's important to make sure it's rarely is it 100%, 0%, whether from either side. Now, some people might be 100% Democrat or 100% Republican, but most people are not. Most people are somewhere in the middle. So, what I also want to do is make sure people understand that I'm not part of the MAGA crowd because of how much I hate Donald Trump. People that know me know I can't stand Donald Trump. I can't understand why people like that guy, but I do understand why people vote Republican. And now I only agree with 35% of the issues, but it just points out that I can't stand the Democratic Party anymore either, especially after watching them gang up on and screw over Bernie Sanders for 2 elections in a row. So, what I'm really going to be doing is trying to institute a lot of independent compromises in the middle. Right. So, you're going to see me do that a lot. Get both points of view and then try to find some middle ground as best I can. Now, granted, some issues it'll be all 100% one side or the other, but most issues you can find some sort of common ground and independent compromises. So at the moment, I consider myself an independent politically, but like at the moment, we are pretty much forced to vote, one or the other. Right? You plug your nose and go vote for one of them. Right? And also that goes for the news too, because how many times do you see these news, especially the cable, like I was talking about a minute ago? They're one-sided. They're propagandists that do nothing but bolster the side of Republican or Democrat, and I hate that. That's got to stop. And so when it comes to the news, you got to be able to go from the right side and the left side. News also. So keep in mind that I'm going to really try to do that as best I can, and to open your mind to it. So now let's look into some of my politics. I want to tell you where I'm at politically on a lot of issues. And these are probably my top five. These are the ones I'm going to be tackling the most. All right. Number one, obviously, is protecting our planet. I believe one planet, one race. We've got to come together as a human race and start taking care of our planet. All right. So you're going to see me talk about that a ton. That's number one for me. Number two is government. All right. Obviously, who gets the money? I would probably say at least 50% of the decisions made in government, who gets the money. And then also I want to talk about strengthening the United Nations and getting people to work more together and pull away from war as much as we can. Good grief, especially this year again. So keep in mind, I'm going to be talking about government a lot. And when I do talk about government, a lot of people hate government, but government is the only way you can fix things on a big enough scale. You have to go through government. Government's the only thing big enough and powerful enough to actually make a difference. Three, religion. All right, because you cannot address fixing the problems in the world without addressing religion. And people are waiting for the magic man in the clouds to fix our problems for us when we really need to start doing it ourselves. But also, at the same point, as much as I don't like religion, I love church, the concept of church. And there's a big difference between church and religion, which I'll explain more in just a minute. Number four is education. I mean, obviously, we need to teach people on everything, but mostly our focus needs to be on high school curriculums. I really think we need to do a better job of training good citizens, not just future employees. And you'll see me use that one a lot. And then five is parenting and overpopulation in the world. Now, I'm not talking about advice on parenting because I don't have kids myself, but that's what I will be talking about is the decision to have children or not. All right. Whether it be sex education, or just the decision of whether or not to become a parent in the first place. All right. So that's a big issue for me, and I'll be talking about that one as well. When talking about any issue, I will also be talking about focusing on the root causes and solutions and how to fix them. Because far too often, the news does nothing but report the news, and they don't discover or investigate the root causes and then have any ideas for how to fix them. And to focus on the why things are happening instead of just they are. Okay, enough on the top five. Let's talk about some specific issues real quick. All right, let me get myself out of the way for a moment. Obviously, the top five are right there on the Democrat side. Protecting our planet, strong, fair, independent government, religion, the separation of church and state, improved education, responsible parenting and sex education, which includes, abortion and birth control. I'm on the Democratic side. We need to start regulating the economy and Wall Street a lot. Um, I believe in universal basic income, although there's a lot of holes to that needs to be addressed. Inflation regulations, I think I would certainly hope most people will agree with me on that one. Believe in labor unions, health care for everybody, assisted suicide, gerrymandering, free college and trade schools. But then on the Republican side, this is where I'm different than a lot of Democrats. So these are some of the issues that I tend to agree with Republicans more on, starting with police and law enforcement. I think they've got one of the hardest jobs on the planet. I mean, how would you like to deal with criminals and idiots all day long? Also believe in a strong military, secure borders, gun ownership, the death penalty, discipline in schools. Although those two probably shouldn't be right next to each other. And then I put racism on this side because I've gotten to the point where the entire human race is getting on my nerves. Everybody, people, all right? And I'm going to talk about racism extensively from this point of view. Corruption in government, annoying activists. I think there's, you know, ways of doing it better out there than blocking roads. Global terrorism, that's got to be addressed. Abolishing welfare is a Republican issue I agree with. Although, like I said, it needs to be replaced with universal basic income and term limits for politicians. Those have, that's got to be addressed too because, people are staying in Congress way too long, right? And then with all these being said, take a snapshot, compare and contrast on where you stand. Make one of these graphs for yourself and see where you compare and how you stand politically. And then don't forget to focus on independent compromises because nothing is zero or 100%. Rarely. Even diehard Republicans and diehard Democrats are not 100% on most issues. Maybe some of them, but most issues, not so much. All right, so make one of your own. All right, and compare and contrast with mine. Now, keep in mind that this is a beginning starter list. All right, I threw this list together in 15 minutes, so there will be many, many more issues to discuss in the future. So when you're putting together your list, keep an open mind and try to focus on independent compromises. Okay, enough on politics. Let's talk about money. All right, get into something a little bit more fun. Obviously, you see that I've changed colors. That's because you can use this compare and contrast graph over and over and over again with many different things. And I'm going to show you a couple here in a second. Now, my views on money and the economy is that it is time to replace growth with balance and fairness. And no, fair does not mean equal. Fairness and equality are two different things. Fairness means having an honest, unbribed umpire when it comes to the game of money. And no, I do not believe in socialism. Socialism is about equality and total government control. So, no, you'll never hear me say that I like socialism, ever. But I do believe in highly regulated capitalism because rich, greedy people have cheated and rigged the system long enough. Now, our corrupt game of winner take all monopoly is almost over, and it's time to fix the rules and system of government. Now, before you get too mad at me, I do believe that many rich people deserve to be rich and many poor people deserve to be poor because poor, lazy people have mooched off the system long enough too. So it really is about finding the best balance for everyone else in between. And it's about fixing government so that it is the fair, uncorrupted referee for our country and not a bunch of corrupt puppets controlled by the establishment and big business. So, whenever someone says that the government is the problem or don't want government interfering with money and the economy, it really just means that they are the type of people who don't even want a referee on the field so they can cheat all they want, or who don't want a teacher on the playground so they can bully all the weaker kids. It's the same concept. These are also usually the same people who go crazy and lose their minds when it's the smallest hint of cheating in the NFL or any other sport. But when it comes to money, when the economy, the best cheater wins, baby. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And it's your fault for not understanding about money, even though it's not even taught in high school. They think you're just supposed to abracadabra the financial knowledge out of your ass, or it's your parents' fault for not teaching you about money. The problem is, parents can't teach what parents don't know themselves. Now, let me repeat that for the slow people out there. Parents cannot teach what parents don't know themselves because I am really tired of people saying everything is the parents' fault or responsibility. Schools have got to step in and fill the void for fairness and for the good of society. And since we're on the subject, I believe high school graduation to be the fair starting point for life and adulthood. Because, like I said before, we should be training good citizens, not just future employees in high school. And financial education is one of the best examples of that. You know, Everything that happens after high school graduation, fair game. It's your own fault if you mess up after that. So, if we're ever going to balance our economy, we've got to fix and improve government and education, not get rid of government. Broken government is the problem. Corrupted government is the problem. And bad education is a problem too. Along with many other things, because there's always more than one root cause to a problem. All right. Anyway, I can go off about money, fairness, and politics and education all day long, and will in future videos. But for now, it's time to move on to the other major issue that I want to make sure that I address in this first video, which is that of religion. Now, I'd like to start this slide by apologizing up front for being so blunt and harsh when it comes to religion, and that I promise I'm not trying to upset anyone. Because I know how much people hold their religion so serious and personal to them, and that many of you might even be mad at me after this slide. In fact, I often hear, Dave, why do you have to attack religion so much? Why can't you just leave it alone and let people believe what they want to? And my answer is always, I don't mind people having personal beliefs. But the problem is, globally, religion has screwed up the world long enough. And it's time for religion to be addressed, discussed openly, and eventually compromised on. Because religion, along with language, are the two main reasons people in the world can't get along with each other. Number one, because we can't work together if we can't even communicate with each other. Or two, if the whole world is fighting over who has the best imaginary friend. I mean, just look at Israel and Gaza right now. Here we go again, 2,000 years later, and we are still going to war over my imaginary friend is better than your imaginary friend. And three, because we can't start to fix our problems in the world if 70% of the people on this planet are waiting for their invisible magic man in the sky, who most likely doesn't even exist to fix our problems for us. Because if there is a God up there, it is pretty obvious that he leaves our problems up to us to fix ourselves. So until the day a God gets down here, shows himself, proves to us what religion happens to be the right religion, and starts helping us out, we are on our own to fix our own problems ourselves. So, with that being said, obviously I'm basically an atheist, or more accurately, an agnostic, which means that I believe nobody knows the answers to religion. We are all just guessing, believing, and hoping. And beliefs and hopes are good things. It's just that when religion gets abused, that it becomes wrong or bad for the world. Things like making excuses for war and hating each other. So, because of all the bad things religion causes, is why I attack religion and why I consider myself simply non religious. Or a term I like even better is free thinker, because I believe people should think for themselves and not just believe everything the old man in the white robe at the podium at church says. Now, speaking of specific terms, this brings up my definition of religion. Now, as we read through this, take a minute and think about how you would define religion, because coming up with your own definition for a subject really does help you understand it better. And I will be doing this a lot in the future. I like putting my spin on a term. So for this one, religion, dictionary from Webster's dictionary is a personal set or system of religious attitudes, beliefs, and practices, or worship of a god or gods. Now, my first definition is it's a belief or theory for how life started on this planet, how humans got here, why we are here, and where we go when we die. Now, two is pretty harsh, but the ultimate tool for controlling people and taking their money. It's the ultimate reward and punishment, the heaven and hell argument. And three, it's modern psychiatry and education in friendly social environments at local community centers or churches. Now, speaking of the concept of church, this brings up some of the good things about religion, because I do understand that many people need religion in order to be happy. And church provides a place to be happy, where your friends are, to be social, and to have like minded people to talk to, especially a trained listener or leader called a pastor or priest. So I strongly believe church is great for the world. It's just the crazy 2,000-year-old books written by people who still thought the world was flat that we need to get rid of and replace with modern theories and education. Now, for those people who still need religion, I get it. I do. Be so sad, so lonely or so unhealthy or even unlucky, or even to miss a loved one and need hope or something better to look forward to. I get it. I really do. And I don't think any less of anyone for needing religion to be happy or even to get through life. But all I ask from people is, and the compromise I would like to see the world make, is to believe and hope for heaven and eternal life, but be realistic and put life on this planet first, then your religion, and to help make sure our governments do the same. Because there's nothing wrong with having beliefs and wanting to go to heaven when you die. I honestly hope there's a heaven and that I still get to go too. It sounds pretty great. But there's something very wrong when the entire human race, as a group or a collection of governments, does nothing to protect and help establish a balance with this planet. Which brings us back to the importance of government. Now, I still basically agree with the concept of separation of church and state, but I also think that it's a very outdated concept. Mainly because one, people are going to bring their religious beliefs into politics anyway, and two, the idea that religions do their own thing while governments do another is horribly counterproductive. Religions and governments need to get on the same team and start working together towards one common cause, which is, of course, helping the human race establish a balance with our planet now and for thousands or millions of years to come, or for as long as we possibly can. For example, until our sun burns out or we get hit by another asteroid or anything else that we have no control over. But we should make every effort to protect this planet from everything that we do have control over. Because our planet is an absolute miracle of the universe, which is about the only time I use the word miracle. And while it is most likely not the only planet in the universe with life on it, until we develop space travel and light speed to travel to other planets, our planet is the only home we have and should be treated like it. And again, for people to stop being selfish and to care about future life on this planet after they die. So it really is time to revolutionize the way the world does church and religion, and for church and state to work together. Okay, with that being said, let's wrap things up for today. Hopefully, I haven't made everybody mad at me. Hopefully, there are at least a few people out there left who agree with me and will watch more of my videos. And for those of you who will, I'd like to close by giving you an idea on what videos I'm going to be making next. You already seen number one here, my YouTube videos. Number two will be why make YouTube videos. I'm going to explain why I'm doing all this. Then the intentions for what I'm trying to do. Also, what is the Balanced World with Dave Dettman and how it all started. Fundraising for the future video. Go put one of those together. I also been putting together a video about my year in Washington D.C. when I was living in my car. And seven would be the roots of our problems, selfishness and stupidity. I wanted to introduce that just because I like talking about the roots of our problems and how to fix them. And then also I'm going to be uh, putting my whole book into videos, and I want to be able to explain myself a lot better. And it'll give me a lot of practice turning my graphs into PowerPoint slides and elaborating on them. And then also, I'm going to start doing some news reports with my opinions on them. And then finally, I'm going to finish up with some podcast interviews. So, again, if any of you guys out there want to help me get good at interviewing people and doing a podcast interview, let me know. We'll have some fun talking about political issues. For now, I'd like to close this video with talking about a couple of the pages where you can find some more information about what I'm going to be doing in the future. And the first one is my YouTube channel, Balance the World with Dave Dettman. Facebook page, Balance the World with Dave Dettman, and then a Twitter or X page, with just Balance the World. And then finally, I want to close with introducing my Patreon page. This is where, if you want to, you can help me out financially and help me do this full time. And for my friends and family out there watching, I promise to never pressure anyone, nor will I ever hold a grudge for anybody who doesn't. But the option is there for people who do want to help me out and help me do this full time. And also keep in mind that even if you're broke like I am and can only come up with $1 a month, at least I'll see your name on the list and I'll know you're rooting for me. And that'll go a long way when it comes to staying motivated. And for those of you who are not yet sold, please keep watching future videos and hopefully I can eventually convince you and earn your support. Until then, thanks for watching this first video of mine and be looking out for my next video, why make YouTube videos, and then what my intentions are for the future, where I promise to make improvements every time I make a video, starting with learning about and cleaning up the transitions and audio better. And remember, most of my videos will only be around 5 minutes, even though this first one was around 30 or so. I just had a lot to say for my first video, so thank you very much. For now, enjoy a couple of the bloopers I was talking about at the beginning of this video. I thought were a little funny and embarrassing. Enjoy. This video is mainly for my friends and family and is to introduce everyone to my next step towards making my balance. Yeah, you can't even say that. Yeah, you did press record. See what I'm saying? You don't need to be an expert to help. All right. Why didn't that click? To leave the details in the expert. So annoying. I have to see why Bill O'Reilly snapped that one time. Oh my god. Right. That's still recording?